you about my experience abroad. Some differences between learning in the United States and the Netherlands are where you have your classes. So for instance, for one of my classes, it was in a movie theater, and we would get to bypass everyone waiting for the movies and skip past them, and we had this one movie theater, this giant movie theater that was like where we had our lectures. So I thought that was super cool. And it's funny because the Dutch people were like, oh man, that sucks, like you have class in a movie theater, but I was like, this is amazing. So the way we have the way the classes are set up are different. In America, you kind of have your class 3 times a week for 50 minutes, and it's gonna be just a lecture mixed with activities, mixed with everything, kind of like working on problems and learning this stuff all in the same class. And the Netherlands, it's more split up, and you basically only have 2 classes to go to a week per class, and one of them is going to be like a 3-hour lecture, and then the other class is going to be, it's called a tutorial, and in that one it's where you practice, and then you have like a student teacher help you with the problems and stuff. I actually really liked how this was set up, even though the lectures did take so long, because it just felt like you could learn everything in the beginning and then work on them and then start over each week, so that was really nice. This is how they grade things. So in America you have lots of assignments, you have tests, quizzes, papers, projects, presentations, everything to fluff your grade, which is like a lot of work to do. But in the Netherlands it's more like exam focused, so you have like one exam that's like 85% of your grade, and it's like when you're in school you feel like you don't have a lot to do because you don't have so much stuff to do and so many things that are due, but like you have to like be able to keep up with it or else you will fail, and I did fail one of my exams. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was housing. So my housing situation was interesting. I had already booked my plane ticket and I was determined to find housing in Groningen, and because there's a housing crisis there, it was really, really hard to find somewhere to live. I almost lived with a 37-year-old man, and my dad almost let me, but like my parents almost let me live with a 37-year-old man. But last minute I had an interview for a Dutch student house, which is like really surprising because it's actually quite hard for Dutch people to let in an American or somebody from a different place. They want somebody who's in their like societies, which is kind of like their sororities or stuff like that. So yeah, I interviewed to live in this house with 12 roommates, and I decided to do that instead of living with this 37-year-old man. My house, it was very fun. I like got off the plane and I rolled my 50-pound bag up on the cobblestone, and once I got there I realized that I had to go up these like steep stairs. All the stairs in the Netherlands are like basically ladders. So yeah, that was tough, but the housing situation was honestly the best I could have asked for. I loved living with 12 people. Like you never don't have somebody to talk to. Like I always had someone to talk to, someone to check on me, and yeah, it was a little messy in my opinion. I thought that people in Europe would be more neat. Like people in Germany, they're known to be like super neat. So because it was like a college house, like obviously it was quite messy at times, and I was also a part of that. So yeah, living in my house was great. I was like super close to campus, and the rent was so incredibly cheap in my opinion. It was, I think I paid 300 euros a month, which coming from living in a big city in America, that's like not a lot at all. So so that was wonderful. I actually saved money studying abroad. My expenses were not that much. Groceries were so cheap. I spent 30 euros a week on groceries, which is not bad considering I was buying like fun stuff and like alcohol and going out and stuff. When going out, drinks were not that expensive. but liquor was very expensive. Food. So the food in the Netherlands is amazing. The only food in America that I think is better is avocados, but I may have just found the wrong avocados. I love the way that you can eat in the Netherlands. Like, they have this market where, you know, you can get fresh food, fruit and vegetables, and it's like costs €5 for like a huge basket of fruit, which in America, my little can of tomatoes cost $5. Like, so that was really interesting. They're most famous for like their croquettes. Even got to spend Thanksgiving in the Netherlands. I didn't cook a turkey because I couldn't find one, but I cooked a chicken and some like dressing or stuffing, whatever you call it. So that was pretty lit. I'm here to tell you what Americans think about the Netherlands. So I have here pulled up the top stereotypes about Dutch people, and I thought I would run through it and talk about my experience abroad and if these things are true. So number one is that Dutch people are stoned all the time, and because marijuana is decriminalized in the Netherlands, I get why people would think this, but I lived with 12 Dutch roommates, and I think that they would probably smoke weed like once every couple weeks. Some of them didn't smoke weed at all. I think that because it's decriminalized, it's like not as popular. It's not really like as much of a cultural thing as it is in America. In America, it's like kind of like a part of our culture to like smoke weed and talk about weed, and they just like, I don't know. So I lived in Groningen, which is 2 hours outside of Amsterdam. So it was more of like a student town. There wasn't as many tourists, and there was a significantly less coffee shops. They were kind of more like underground and not really as like advertised, like come buy weed here, marijuana, like in Amsterdam. So yeah, I guess they don't really smoke weed as much. No. Number two, Dutch people are tall and have blonde hair and blue eyes. Yeah, this is mostly true. A lot of Dutch people are blonde, they have blue eyes, beautiful blue eyes. All of the men and women in the Netherlands are all really pretty, I think. But they don't all have blue eyes and blonde hair, obviously. I had 12 Dutch roommates, and a lot of them had brown hair. Most of them had blue eyes, though. Half the population is gay. I don't think that's true. I mean, if it is true, they're not like really in your face about it at all. I think that people have this misconception because the Netherlands was one of the first countries, or no, they were the first country to legalize gay marriage, and because of that, a lot of people seek asylum from their countries where gay marriage isn't legal. And so yeah, the percentage of gay people is probably a lot more than countries around it and like Eastern Europe and stuff like that, but compared to America, I think the number of gay people, it's hard to compare because there's 330 million people in America and 17 million in the Netherlands, I think. Okay, number 4, the Dutch are greedy. Well, if you've ever heard the saying, going Dutch, then you know that, you know, Dutch people care about their money, but not in an American way where we like love money and buying things. They like spending their money on vacations, really, and they don't spend a lot of money on clothes. I think about, as an American, how we buy these like pieces for like one night and we wear them once and then we like never wear them again, and they're usually like cheaper clothes that we can just like throw in the washing machine. Like, we don't really care about our clothes like that. And in the Netherlands and in Europe in general, I think they take more care of their clothes and they buy better quality, thicker clothes, like knit, like thick clothes. I guess maybe it's also because of the weather, it's colder and they need thicker clothes and stuff. But they take care of them, they hang them out to dry, they don't just throw them in a dryer or anything like that. So that's really interesting. We had an app where we would split our groceries if we got stuff for the house between like all 12 of us that lived there, which was nice, kind of like a Venmo situation. But I did think it was kind of ridiculous how one time they like charged all 12 people for an onion, and I'm like, are we all gonna use one onion? Like, there's no way. So yeah, so I thought that was kind of ridiculous, but in their culture they split everything. They split everything, they're equal. There's no like them being cheap. It's like, I charge you, you charge me, like we split everything. So if it's something you can get used to, then it's not that big of it. The Dutch all speak English. Yeah, this is mostly true unless they're older. I think in newer generations most Dutch people speak English and they're taught English. They actually get embarrassed if they like don't know an English word, which is funny to me because I'm like, how is that embarrassing? Like, you literally know like 3 languages. Some of them know like 3, 4, 5 languages, so that's all impressive to me. So the Dutch are very direct. Yeah, this is true, but I think that if you're an American, this is pretty easy to get used to, because I think you can compare their directness to like people in New York City. So they're just kind of like, well, without being in a rush all the time. But I just remember one time I was going into a store and they were closing in like 30 minutes, and the lady was like, I was trying to ask her questions about what kind of products they had, and she was just like, look, we're closing in 30 minutes, just come back tomorrow. And I was like, what the heck, like, I don't understand, like, why couldn't she just answer a couple of my questions? And then I realized that it was just, that's just how they are. And most of the people that were direct like that were older people. I think younger people were less direct, and the culture, honestly, in my opinion, when it comes to like directness and humor, I think it's quite similar to America, but maybe a little bit darker humor, a little bit more dirty. But I mean, I always enjoyed that. Okay, so those are some of the stereotypes. So yeah, that is what Americans think about the Netherlands, but really it's just my experience and what I got while I was there, and what I thought of Dutch people, which was that they're wonderful, just like all people, and if you have a chance to study abroad, I think you should absolutely do it, especially in the Netherlands. You don't even have to learn a language, although I did pick up a little bit of Dutch, so yeah, if you like videos like this or have any questions about studying abroad or how long it took for me to plan my trip, or if I have any new trips coming up, feel free to ask. Hey guys, so my camera died, but I just want to say thanks so much for listening, and feel free to comment if you have any questions, and I'll try and make sure to answer all of them.